Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. Congratulations to making it through to the end of another week. May you guys have a wonderful and awesome weekend planned in front of you guys, resting you up and prepping you up for another glorious week of fantastic victory that lies ahead. And speaking of fantastic victory, he is the general himself, the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer. Burnett is here. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, you know, it's been actually an eventful week of entertainment news, and I read what your show notes were, and I was all fired up to do this show. I'm very excited to be here today.
Look, I'll just give you guys a warning right now. I generally do not like the TMZ bullshit. Like who's fighting with who and who's aggy. I don't get into that. But when it starts to affect the actual movies we are watching and could watch in the future and possibly change the landscape, we talk about this stuff. So we do have a number of interesting things here to talk about today. And here's how today's show is going to go, guys. We break it up into two parts as we always do. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to go over and take your live comments and questions. If you want to get in a live comment or question on the show for this show or the next companion video, whenever we get around to it, you guys can simply click on the tip link that's down in the description of this video, or you can enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on one of the shows, if they're, of course, appropriate for our show. And then, of course, you're also supporting our channel at the same time, and all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys very, very much for your support. Okay, guys, with everything down, let's move on to our first off the top today. And our first off the top today is this. Rob, you know that one of the upcoming Marvel projects that we have been getting more and more excited about is Shang-Chi. And by the way, they actually said it in the trailer. I had been pronouncing it Shang-Chi because I heard Kevin Feige say it that way once before. I've also heard him say it as Shang-Chi. But then they said it in the trailer. It's pronounced Shang-Chi, like a soft A. Now we know how it's said, so I'm saying it hopefully correctly, Shang-Chi. But anyway, we've been seeing the trailers coming out. We've been getting excited about it. It is coming up here pretty quickly. Well, I got an email earlier this morning from Disney Publicity talking about the fact that they've just released a brand new featurette showing really the connection between Shang-Chi and Iron Man. And they put this thing out a little bit earlier today. And sure enough, we see Kevin Feige, talking in this thing about the fact that Shang-Chi takes us back to the very, very beginning of the MCU. The very beginning of the MCU. He even shows us a few clips of Iron Man and stuff like that, and shows, the rings and all the things that remind us about. This is what that was. Not the Ben Kingsley one, but this is that organization that we saw that was there at the very beginning of the MCU. And then, of course, we get Simu Liu talking a lot about, he was so excited to play this. We see Awkwafina talking about how she just felt like Simu was like born to play this role and all that kind of stuff. There's actually a lot of good things. Because, Rob, I usually avoid and skip over these little 1 to 2 minute featurettes. They're just glorified commercials, but I actually thought this one was pretty interesting. Yep. Did you have a chance to see this little featurette, and what stood out to you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I've obviously, whenever you get to see people talking, get a little bit more insight into the process, I dig it. And I thought this was, they're drawing important. I thought this was a very shrewd piece of marketing, talking about how it goes all the way back to Iron Man 1. And, that's definitely something that I think people need to be reminded of. And I think that's pretty cool. And also, I like the idea that we're going to be getting some flashbacks, I would imagine, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, different ones than we've ever had before. I love this comic when I was a kid. I really can't wait to see this movie. And the more I see of it, the more I'm excited about it. And again, a lot of people don't know this character. So right. I think having these extra added bits of marketing for people to watch, gets people excited. And I know it certainly got me all hot and bothered. I'm like, I want to see this movie now. And I mean, I can't believe I mean, I knew Master Shang-Chi's been an Avenger. So it's really cool to see this. And I'm very, very excited for this movie.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, like, the way Kevin Feige was speaking, it has left me kind of with an expectation and a hope that we certainly at least get some passing references to the events of Iron Man 1. Because, you know, Kevin Feige went out of his way in this little featurette to talk about the connection to the first Iron Man 1. They show clips from the original Iron Man 1, transposing over the 10 rings and things like that. What are your do you think they'll actually show, whether it's a flashback to Iron Man 1 or, you know, discussions and dialogue referencing the events of Iron Man 1? Do you think they're going to show a more practical connection to that first film, or do you think that's just to be background information for us?
I'll do you one better.
Ooh.
I think you're going to see references to both Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3.
I thought you were about to tell me we're going to see Tony Stark. We're going to see Robert Downey Jr. I'll do you one better. I think we're going to see Robert Downey Jr.
You know what, though? I mean, now that you say that, I wouldn't put it past them to do that. And maybe it'll only be Tony Stark and flashback footage, but I think that there's got to be some reference to what happened in Iron Man 1 and 3 because, you know, he was being impersonated. Maybe we'll find out that was part of Tony Leung's plan all the time. Like he was masterminding by making it look like there is no organization of the 10 rings, that it's all silly. It's another added layer of obfuscation to keep them secret. So who knows?
Well, whatever it is, guys, did you guys have a chance to see this new promo for Shang-Chi? I thought it looked really quite interesting. Not as good as a full trailer, but I thought it was actually pretty interesting. What did you guys think about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, here's another off the top, and that is this. Rob, you know, one of the movies that I have been ludicrously excited about seeing has been Suicide Squad. Mostly because it's James Gunn. I'm a big fan of James Gunn's films. I like his on-screen sensibilities. He's got a wackiness that has this ability to layer real human emotion and humanity into the wackiness. Slither is a terrific example of that. Obviously, what he did with the movie of a bunch of misfit characters with Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy turned out to be mind-boggling successful. And now he brings it over here. But then the trailer started coming out. They look good. And then the early reactions started coming out. And the early reactions sounded great. Well, yesterday, after the John Campea show, I got a call. Said, hey, you know what? There's actually, we're doing a screening tonight in LA. If you want to come down to LA, come see it. So at kind of a last minute thing, I'm like, hell yes. Now, I normally, Rob, you know, I usually don't go anymore. Ever since I moved out of LA, I usually just can't be bothered to go to these press screenings anymore. But for a James Gunn film and Suicide Squad, and hearing some people saying like it could be a top 3 or top 5 greatest comic book movie of all time, you know, I had to hop on the horse and get down there and go watch it. And by the way, I just want to throw in here, our friends Insomniac and Iconic Reactions both send in super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. So I hopped on my horse yesterday and ran on down to go see Suicide Squad. So first of all, I should point out that going in to see Suicide Squad, by the way, here's a little picture of me outside getting ready to go in. Look at the smile on my face. Look how happy I'm all excited getting ready to go in and see Suicide Squad. That was last night. So the first thing I should point out is that I got into the theater. It was supposed to start at 6, and 6:20 rolls around. They still hadn't started the movie. And a guy comes into the theater and says, they're having some technical problems. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no, please don't tell me I drove an hour and 20 minutes to get over all the way over here onto the west side of LA to come see this and it can't play. But around 6:30, they finally got it playing. Okay. This is what I'll say. Do I think Suicide Squad is a top 5 or top 3 greatest comic book film of all time? I'll say no. Do I think it is the greatest DCEU movie yet, as many people are suggesting that it is? I would still personally give that crown to Man of Steel. Because, I mean, you guys know Man of Steel is... You guys know how much I love Man of Steel. But I will also tell you this. Oh my God, Rob, this movie's entertaining. Oh my God, this movie's entertaining. It is every bit as ludicrous and bonkers and nutty and crazy and irreverent and like random, but also as some of the other critics have said prior to this, it's got a warmth to it. There is absolutely moments of tenderness. And, somebody asked me last night, what would you say the theme of the movie is? What's the theme of the movie? And I thought about it for a second, and I haven't heard anybody else say this. So I'll describe what I think the theme of the movie is this. Discovering the humanity you have inside you. Regardless of, even if it's only the tiniest scrap of humanity that you have left. And if I had to describe what I thought the theme of Suicide Squad is that, and I think that holds true as you go across most of the characters, is discovering the whatever sliver or bit of humanity is still in you. And, I mean, there's something I want to say, but I don't know if I can say it. Let me look something up here. Squad. I don't know if I can say it, but just let me look up something here quickly to see if I'm able to say something that I want to say or not. Let's see. Okay. What I did not know, Rob. He is listed on the IMDb, so I should have known this because he is listed on IMDb, so this is no spoiler because he's listed there. I didn't know Taika Waititi was in this movie. I totally didn't realize Taika Waititi was in this movie. So, and listen, some of the guys that just really stood out to me. Number one, let me just say this. I was very pleasantly surprised by John Cena. I was very pleasantly surprised by John Cena in this movie. Now, some of the jokes that he cracks in the trailers, they come across a little stiff, like they're funny lines, but they're a little stiff and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, as they got into some of the more dramatic parts, John Cena, look, I'm still not willing to say I think he can be a leading man like he's going to be in the Peacemaker show on HBO. I still don't know if he's ready to be a leading man. So far, he has not been able to be a leading man. But I'll tell you what, when it got to the heavier and some of the dramatic parts of Suicide Squad with John Cena, I got to say, I was quite impressed. He has grown a lot. He has gotten better. And I got to say, man, I was pretty impressed. So look, I'm not saying he's going to win any Academy Awards. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just going to say he has come a long way since, what was that movie he did, Trainwreck? He did Trainwreck like 6 years ago or whatever. He's come a long way. So I got to give him some props for that. Also, Polka Dot Man, Rob. Polka Dot Man. We heard some people saying Polka Dot Man was a pleasant surprise. Yes, Polka Dot Man is a pleasant surprise. King Shark. I loved every second that King Shark was on screen. I loved every second. The action is bonkers. It's totally gory. It's got some great humor. Rob, there is a moment in this film that, I often talk about the top 10. I have a personal top 10 list of the funniest single moments in a movie. Not the top 10 funniest movies, but a top 10 funniest single moments. To me, the number one will always be Spaceballs. Now, Lone Star, you'll see that evil will always triumph because good is dumb. That will always be my number one. But I think there is a moment in Suicide Squad that makes that list. That I both laughed incredibly hard out loud and I wanted to crawl under my chair and go, no, 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 all at the same time. It's just, Rob, I often say that movies are experiential events. And Suicide Squad is an experience. Again, I don't want to oversell it. Do I think this is a top 3 greatest comic book film of all time? Like one of my friends was telling me they thought it was. No, I don't think it's a top 3 of all time. But this is a big, big win. You owe it to yourself to see this movie. And with the action and violence in it, You absolutely owe it to yourself to see it on the biggest screen possible. And now I didn't get a chance to see it on a Prime or an IMAX screen, but if you can see it in a Dolby Prime or in an IMAX screen, go watch it on one of those. If that's not available to you, just see it on the biggest screen that you can. I had an absolute blast. What James Gunn has done it again. I cannot wait to see what he does next. I guess next up for him is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But anyway, Rob, I know you've been getting hyped for this film. Where are your expectations right now? And do you have any like non-spoiler questions for me about the movie at this point?
Well, I mean, this movie just looks monumentally entertaining. And again, using Slither, using Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, because I like 2, I seemingly like 2 a lot more than most people. I'm a huge fan of what James Gunn brings to the sensibilities of these things. And I think that the fact that he's taken these obscure DC characters and combined them with a couple of heavy hitters from the original Suicide Squad and the John Ostrander comic, which he talks about liking a great deal, my anticipation of this movie is quite high. Like, I can't wait to see it. And I've told you, the fact that anybody made a movie with Starro in it, we are all winning. But in terms of plot, if I could ask a question,
sure.
I guess, James Gunn has said that DC said you can do whatever you want to any of these characters. Was it at all surprising what some of the fates of these characters wound up being?
Yep. I really want to make sure I don't give, but dude, half of this movie, my jaw was in my lap. Like, I can't believe they just did this.
All I need to know.
And then something else happens later on. I can't believe they just did that. And then already when I'm already sitting there thinking, this is one of the most ludicrous and bonkers, certainly comic book movies I've ever seen. And then Starro pops up.
Right.
I mean, it's even before Starro pops up that you're thinking like, this is completely bonkers and wild and crazy. Oh no, yeah, we haven't even gotten to the giant starfish yet. I mean,
dude. I mean, that's such a deep cut. I mean, it goes all the way back to the first couple of what I think Justice League 4, Starro the Conqueror. I just, only James Gunn, I think, it showed that not only because he loves this stuff, he did his research. There are very few filmmakers in the world. Maybe he's the only one who would have, or was even capable of delivering what this movie seems to have successfully delivered. I don't know. I don't think any other filmmaker would have done what he's done here.
And by the way, Nathan Fillion, great. Javelin, great. I mean, as you go through Ratcatcher, great. Harley Quinn, great. Michael Rooker, great. I mean, and Weasel, by the way, Weasel. I mean, every moment Weasel's on screen, I'm grinning ear to ear. And by the way, before I forget this, I will let you guys know that, yes, there's a post-credit scene.
Ooh.
But don't get up and leave after the post-credit scene. Stay until the very, very end of the credits, because there is a second post-credit scene. And you're going to want to see both. All right, you're going to want to see both. So yes, there is a early post-credit scene, what we call a mid-credit post scene, but then there is one at the very, very end. So make sure you guys stick around for that as well. Anyway, a phenomenally entertaining movie, guys. I had a great time with it. Listen, the violence and the bonkersness and the craziness of it, that also means it's not going to be for everybody. Right? So I'm not sitting here telling you everybody on the planet's going to love this. The very nature of what makes it great for me is going to be maybe something that makes it not everybody's cup of tea. So keep that in mind. But I had a marvelous time watching this movie, and I cannot wait to go back into a theater and watch it again. Question is for you guys, where's your expectations like right now for Suicide Squad? I had a great time. I hope you guys will too. Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. By the way, our friend Rampage Predacon sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you so much, Rampage. Appreciate that, man. Okay. Let's now move on to another off the top, and that off the top is this. Rob, there's a major situation going on right now with Scarlett Johansson and Disney. And we talked,
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about this. A little bit of a dust up, a little bit of personal conflict, a little bit of an antagonist and protagonist. Yeah, there's a little drama going on right now over at the house that Bob Chapek is apparently burning to the ground, the Mouse House. A little bit of drama going on there. We talked about it on the show yesterday that Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney because they breached their contract, they breached their agreement, and she's suing them. Now, we're going to talk about the Scarlett Johansson aspect of this specifically a little bit later in the show, so hang tight. But I mentioned the Scarlett Johansson thing right now because it's directly connected to another off the top here, and that is this. Kevin Feige. Rob, if there is anybody, I think most people can agree, if there is anybody over living under the roof of the Mouse House right now, that everybody would agree is the one person you cannot piss off, is the one person you cannot alienate, and is the one person you cannot get on their bad side because this dude is the goose who is laying your frickin' golden eggs. I think everybody would agree if there is that one person, it's Kevin Feige. We have been hearing word, Rob, that there has been a lot of infighting and debate over at Disney over the whole premium access, release a movie in theaters and charge $30 for it on Disney Plus. There has been some massive disagreements going on over there. Well, apparently one of the people who is a part of that argument and those disagreements is Kevin Feige himself. And by the way, our friends Harvey Dude and Mal both send in super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate that very much. Because it's now being reported that Kevin Feige is extremely upset over not just the lawsuit that's going on, but he's been upset and angry over the whole decision to put Black Widow on Disney Plus for premium $30 release. Now, this does not come to us from Gus's movie reviews.fart. This comes to us from one of the guys who was at one point was one of the senior film reporters for The Hollywood Reporter, Bellani. And Bellani now does his own stuff online as well. He's got his newsletter. His name's Matt Bellani. He was with a number of the big trades. He's a reputable guy in this business. But Matt Bellani has talked about this, and he's talked to his inside contacts at Disney, and this is what they're saying. Bellani writes, and make no mistake, Kevin Feige is pissed. He is a company man and not prone to corporate showdowns or shouting matches. But I am told he is angry and embarrassed. He lobbied Disney against the day and date plan for Black Widow, preferring the big screen exclusivity and not wanting to upset his talent. And then, when the shit hit the fan, the movie started tanking and Johansson's team threatened litigation. He wanted Disney to make things right with her. However, Disney declined to comment on Feige. So there's a couple of things here. Number one, Kevin Feige himself did not want his movie going onto day and date release on Disney Plus. So he was already pissed and embarrassed about that. Then when he found out about the behind the scenes drama going on, that, Scarlett Johansson's representation had been reaching out to Disney, say, hey, listen, this is violating our agreements. We got to make this right. Let's come to the table and let's renegotiate this so you guys can compensate Scarlett properly, and then we have no problem. But Disney refused. They said, no, we're Disney, damn it. You'll take what we give you and you'll say thank you. That's what you're going to do. And by the way, Harvey Dude also sends another $10 super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Harvey. No, we're Disney. We're not going to do what Warner Brothers did. Because remember, there was the same problem with this, Rob, over at Warner Brothers. Do you remember this? When they were going to be releasing like Wonder Woman, their things. What did Warner Brothers do? They got together with the talent They said, okay, yep, you would have made more money had we honored the agreement and put these things out theatrically exclusively. So let's make it right. Let's make it right. What can we do here to make it right?
But
and go ahead.
They also didn't tell anyone they were going to do this.
Yes.
You know, they went ahead and made this decision unilaterally without talking to the filmmakers. And
they backstabbed everybody.
That was very, very uncool. And the deluge of bad blood that they created from nothing, they had to do something.
Yeah. So, but at least they did something.
Yeah.
And here Scarlett Johansson's lawyers had been reaching out to Disney and say, hey, let's come to the table. Let's sit down and work this out. And they did not. So Kevin Feige, now again, we're going to talk more in depth about the specific Scarlett Johansson versus Disney drama in a little bit. Right now, we're focusing on the Kevin Feige part of this. So Kevin Feige, who everybody who works with Feige loves Feige. And that relationship that Feige fosters with the talent that he works with is of supreme importance to him. And not only was he frustrated and angry that Disney made the decision to put Black Widow on Disney Plus, he then became further upset about the fact that they weren't working this thing out with Scarlett Johansson, and now it's become public because, lawsuits are part of public record. That comes out. Nobody made an announcement, but it's going to come out once a lawsuit is filed. And he's pissed. And Rob, I got to tell you, it's not that I think Kevin Feige is above everybody else and that you just have to kowtow to anything, whatever Kevin Feige wants. Not at all. I'm not suggesting that in the least. But, I've been becoming increasingly frustrated, Rob, as a Disney fan. Because, and increasingly embarrassed and feeling foolish. Because about a year ago, or however long ago it was, when they announced that Bob Chapek was going to be the heir to Bob Iger's throne, that he was the guy now that's going to be, and then they made that transition. Bob Chapek became the CEO. A lot of people who are big fans of Disney parks and follow Disney parks started saying right away, this is bad because Chapek was awful for parks. And we're going to see where this goes. But at the time, and now I'm embarrassed, because at the time, Rob, you remember, I was like, you know what? This is a good choice. Bob Chapek is a good choice. He obviously has Iger's trust. This is guy, he's got loads of experience with this company. He has been a company man for a long time. They obviously picked him for a reason. This is going to work out fine. Nobody worry. This is going to work out fine. But over the last year, Rob, I have become, as a Disney fan, just as a fan, increasingly bewildered and frustrated at the decisions this guy has been making. His seemingly inability to get people on board with his vision, his refusal to listen to dissenting voices within his own company. We've been talking for a while that there's been a lot of drama going on behind closed doors, and even Chapek and Iger are at odds. But Iger can't really do anything because he's on his way out. He's still the chairman of the board, but he's leaving that position here in just a couple months. Or sooner than that, at any rate. Hearing that he is so mismanaging his relationships with his absolute top people, like a Kevin Feige. Dude, I've gone from being the idiot who stood up saying, Bob Chapek's going to be great. That was me. I'm the one who said that. And now I'm sitting here like, Bob Chapek's going to be the one to burn this thing to the ground. And I don't know. And now there's also words, by the way, in these same reports that are coming out right now, that not only has he alienated Kevin Feige and he's alienated his top talent, now there's also word that Emma Stone, Academy Award winner Emma Stone, is now considering her own lawsuit over Cruella because they broke their agreement with her too. So this is all under Chapek's watch. Rob, under Iger, for the last 10 years, we have heard nothing but sunshine and hand-holding and singing Kumbaya while making s'mores over the fireplace of great success and money as they burned bricks of money because everybody was happy, everybody was getting along, everybody felt heard, everybody felt like they were being treated fairly. And now, less than a year into this dude's reign, we're hearing all this infighting amongst executives. The board and the CEO are dividing over things. Kevin Feige's unhappy. Scarlett Johansson, who's been one of the most loyal soldiers over there in the MCU, is now having to sue you. Now we're hearing Emma Stone may sue them too. This is all happening under this guy's watch. And I don't want to make this about Bob Chapek. It's more about Kevin Feige and hearing this. Rob, and by the way, Kalako sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Kalako. Let me ask you this. Like he said in the article here, Kevin Feige's a company man. Like, he doesn't like drama. He doesn't like stirring things up, blah, blah, blah. I've never seen him even angry or upset. But you read this now. What's your impressions? What are the first things that pops into your mind?
Oh, I following this story, I've been reporting on my own channel. I've been thinking a lot about this. And I even said, Kevin Feige was not unaware, if I had to put money on it, he was not unaware of Scarlett Johansson's actions. I think that they probably have the kind of relationship, and I'll bet you that Kevin Feige probably suggested she should move forward. I have no reason to say that, but I'm willing to bet you, because here's the thing. Kevin Feige's a filmmaker. He's a producer. And what happens is when his plans are disrupted by his parent company, usually the parent company, we see this all the time, whether we saw what happened with the Snyder Cut or David Ayer's Suicide Squad over at Warner Brothers, and then what happened with the whole AT&T merger over there. These guys, these business people, their eyes are only on quarterly profits, maximizing money, maximizing dollars. They don't understand that they're only as successful as the products they're selling, whether it's the parks, the movies, whatever. But the people, the executives who are running the business, their concerns are very different from, say, Kevin Feige, who has to make all of this stuff. The executives just assume that what they're making is going to work. Same thing is true of Star Wars. We'll buy Star Wars because that brand always works, without the understanding that, no, it has to be good. You have to make good Star Wars, just like you have to make good Marvel films. And Kevin Feige is a master of creating loyalty, brand awareness by working with talented people. He gives people a shot that might not normally have that shot. When you've worked with someone like Scarlett Johansson for 10 years, you know, she's a valued member of the community. And also they had 23 Marvel movies that performed a certain way. So there's precedent there. So they come in, and the one movie that they change because of the pandemic is Black Widow. And then they do their shenanigans, like, okay, now we're going to make it available day and date premium on Disney Plus because, hey, they want those subscribers. You know, they want people to, the executives want people to come to Disney Plus. They want to increase that number because that's a sure thing when it comes to money. People pay money every month. It's the most surefire, stable way a movie company can make money. So they were making all of these considerations without thinking that, you know what? I always say, John, it ain't show friends, it's show business. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. Well, Scarlett Johansson negotiated something, and Disney is getting what they deserve right now. And I think that you can't make decisions when talent is involved without making the talent involved. And then I'll tell you the worst thing that happened, and I can only imagine Kevin Feige went, I'm surprised half of Burbank didn't blow up in a nuclear conflagration yesterday. When the Disney, whoever they made as their spokesperson to respond to this.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a bit. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay. Well, that response.
That's a story for a little bit later in the show.
That, to me, I'm like, I don't know. That person should never work in the entertainment business again, as far as I'm concerned. But to take somebody who's a foundational Avenger and who's been in The Jungle Book, did a voice in The Jungle Book, who was in Jojo Rabbit, you know, a 2-time Academy Award winner, and how many I don't know. But it's like, to do that to your talent that's at the Scarlett Johansson's right now, she's at the front, she's fronting for Disney. I mean, and what they've done is Disney has turned what should have been a great thing. It's the only Marvel movie that has a black mark against it, not just because it's called Black Widow, because this release was botched. It's not playing in China. You know, there's all kinds of craziness happening here. And this is not any fault of Scarlett Johansson's, and it's not any fault of Kevin Feige. And right now, Disney is damaging the Marvel brand. And I'm like, you know what? If I was Kevin Feige, I'd walk into that office, to Bob Chapek's office, and go, fine, let's have a vote of no confidence. I didn't want to do this, but I'm taking over.
Yeah, I don't think he's got that much cash. Just to be clear, Scarlett Johansson has 2 Academy Award nominations. She has 2 Academy Award nominations, not Academy Award wins. By the way, just quickly, Peter Cunnington sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Peter. I mean, I don't know that Kevin Feige has that kind of cachet that he can do that. I call for a vote of no confidence. But
well, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, Kevin Feige's also, look at what he's doing for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to keep his brand going. And what they did was they basically made Black Widow a TV show. Whereas I really do think that part of their strategy, certainly Marvel's strategy, is to have the prestige movies and the TV shows and make them work together synergistically. But you got to keep the movies sacrosanct. Give them their theatrical runs. That's what you got to do. And that was probably what Marvel was basing their entire strategy on. And Disney came along and said, nope. We're going to now equalize your movies and your TV shows and put them on the same playing field.
Listen,
you think you like that?
I'll tell you right now. I will tell you right now, probably at this moment in Burbank, California, there is a phone call happening right now from the CEO of Discovery, who are now the owners, or very soon, once all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, they're going to be the new owners of Warner Brothers here pretty soon. I guarantee you today, if it hasn't happened already, the CEO of Discovery is calling Kevin Feige and saying, hey, just throwing this out there. We've got a home for you over here. Once we take over Warner Brothers, we got a home for you here. And we ain't going to pull any kind of shit. You ask any of my presidents, my president of HGTV, my president of the Food Network, my president of the Travel Channel, my president of this. You talk to any of my presidents, I give you free reign. You want to come over once I take over Warner Brothers, Kevin? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am telling you that phone call is happening today.
And he probably says, for all the presidents I already have, I'm going to send over 1 full Brinks truck of cash. Because and I'm going to send the extra truck over that'll be your truck, and then I'm going to double it if you come on over.
Yeah,
I don't think, by the way, I don't think Kevin Feige would do that, because I think he's made so many plans, and I think at this point, I don't think it's ever been about the money for him. I think that ultimately, look, it's always about money, of course, but they've made so much money. Like, how much money does he need? But I really do think that he's now in a position personally. He's seeing, I already made these 23 movies. I'm going to see if I can do it again. And he has a plan in place, and he's going to build and build and build. But what he can't have, it's like what Ike Perlmutter was doing. Yeah. I can't have this interference. I can't have this interference from I can't have you upsetting my talent. I can't have you not living up to your obligations, because my reputation is such that people have to believe in Marvel, that when we sign agreements, we live up to the agreements. And you put me and everything I'm doing and all of my talent is all in jeopardy now because of you.
Yeah, because now when I tell one of my talent, if I'm sitting down with a Chris Pratt or with a Chris Hemsworth or with a Elizabeth Olsen, and I tell them something, they're not going to know. They can believe me, but they're going to say, well, that's fine that you're saying that, Kevin, but Chapek might override you. You know, and if that's not there, now you and I differ on what we think Kevin Feige's future is, because I have felt for a couple of years that Kevin Feige, he's too much of a creative guy. I think he needs new challenges. I already think he knows he's got nothing left to prove at Disney. I think he is looking for an excuse to maybe leave at some point, but I don't know. You feel differently, but he does certainly have a lot of plans laid out, and that's what a good leader will do. But we need to move on from this. But listen, guys, the question is for you. How are you feeling about this? You know, now we're hearing from, some pretty solid sources that Kevin Feige has been upset about the whole Disney Premium thing with Black Widow, about the fact that he wanted Disney to settle this with Scarlett quietly behind the scenes a long time ago. They wouldn't meet with him. He's feeling like his reputation with his own talent is taking a hit. What could the repercussions of this be? Whatever you guys are thinking about this, jump on down into the comment section and leave us your thoughts. And remember, we still haven't even started talking about the Scarlett Johansson thing. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. All right, guys, with all that down and out of the way, Let's now move in to our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really simple. You see, you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Prince Ali, who writes, Inabagua. Anyway, hey, John, did you see the trailer and posters for the Ridley Scott film, The House of Gucci? This is the second film he is doing this year, and with an all-star cast, it looks like it's going to be a big Oscar contender. What are your thoughts? Stay classy. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, look, Ridley Scott, we've mentioned this before. Ridley Scott is a really, really interesting situation. He is obviously one of the more celebrated directors in Hollywood, but then he went through like, I feel like I want to say a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year span where he just cranked out a lot of crap, Rob. Like a lot of crap. But then all of a sudden, what was the one he did with Matt Damon? Mars?
The Martian.
The Martian.
Now The Last Duel.
I wanted to say Mission to Mars, which is wrong. And then he came out with that, and it's like, that movie was amazing and so great. And then we just recently saw, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck got together, wrote another screenplay. Ridley Scott's directing it, The Last Duel. It's got Adam Driver in it, which we're going to talk about again here in a second. And we saw that trailer, man, and we were blown away by it. We were like, this looks like an Oscar contender already. That trailer was fantastic. And it was so good, it kind of made us forget about the fact that he had this other movie coming out, this House of Gucci, and that a trailer for that was dropping pretty soon. Well, the trailer for House of Gucci did drop. And oh my God, he has done it again. Now, we're just talking about trailers, but once again, I didn't have a lot of expectation for this, Rob. I'll be honest with you. I didn't have high expectations. But I watched this trailer, and like every frame of it, I'm like, this thing is screaming Oscar contender. And by the way, how great does Jared Leto look? Did you even recognize Jared Leto?
No, when it said his name, I'm like, wait, what?
Excuse me? Like what? And he comes across great. Al Pacino in there. I mean, look,
and Lady Gaga's crushing it.
They look and sound amazing. And it's just that trailer ended, and I'm like, no, keep going. And like, it's not often that you get that sense from a trailer, but I wanted this trailer to keep going. And oh my God, Rob, every year we talk about this is the year of X, or this is the year of Y. This is the year of Ridley Scott. I mean, if now again, The Last Duel, House of Gucci, these are both just trailers. But if these movies live up to the potential of these trailers, oh my God. And by the way, Adam Driver. What a great year for Adam Driver if these things turn out to be as good as we're thinking. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see this House of Gucci trailer. What did you make of it?
Well, I don't know if people remember, it was like 30 years ago, but when Vogue dancing, voguing was in style.
Madonna made it hot.
Yeah, the different, they used to call various dance troupes houses, the house of whatever. So, and that was taken from the fashion industry. So at the end of the trailer, when Lady Gaga says, the Father, the Son, and the House of Gucci, I wanted to Vogue, John. I wanted to get up and join that house. I want to be part of that. I mean, the movie looks sumptuous. It looks like it's so much fun. And these actors look like they're having a great time. The evocation of the period, because, it's a period piece. It's based on a true story. I'm just like, wow. I mean, this is big budget Hollywood studio filmmaking that we just don't see anymore. It's a movie that doesn't have to cost $200 million with special effects, although there's probably some of that. That there's a New York City skyline shot that was like, okay, that's a special effect, but it looked amazing to me. It just looks so much fun. I'm like, my God, I've missed movies like this.
Yeah,
can't wait.
It looks. I'm kind of stunned. I'm stunned about how good it looks. Because I'll be honest with you, reading the synopsis, I'm like, okay. You know what it felt like, Rob? It felt like a throwback to some of the great classic, like 60s movies. That's what it really kind of felt like to me watching it. I was really impressed by it. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. Have you guys had a chance to see this House of Gucci trailer? If so, what did you guys think about it? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And by the way, Iconic Reaction sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Iconic Reactions. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on now to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Flynn G, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob. So, the producer of Aquaman 2 and Suicide Squad just did a podcast interview where he said that removing Amber Heard was never something they even considered, and that they weren't ever going to take social media campaign for it seriously, saying that they were going to do what was right for the movie. What do you think about their decision, and do you think it can hurt them?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, this has been a big ongoing, kind of hoopla thing going on for a while now. Now, obviously, this is all pinned back to the Johnny Depp situation and things like that. And there are supporters of Johnny Depp who kind of tried to mount a campaign to have Amber Heard fired. Never mind the fact that Zack Snyder was behind her, that Jason Momoa was behind her, that Walter Hamada was behind her, that James Wan was behind her, that Warner Brothers was behind her. Even though all that was true, there were still a lot of people who wanted to see her removed from the film. Now, going back into the history of this, with the big falling out, and let's all remember, none of you were there, and I wasn't there, and none of us were there. We all got it. Everybody thinks they know everything, Rob. Everybody always thinks they know. I looked on the Googles and I found out. Yeah, we're all like that. We all do that. We're all idiots sometimes. But we all got to keep in mind that none of us were there. So all we can really do is, look to the built-in processes to see what happens. So anyway, Warner Brothers did their own internal investigation. So they got investigators and they looked into the matter of everything that went on between Johnny and Amber. And they they concluded, not that they were right, but they concluded that they sided with Amber Heard. They believed her. They believed the evidence pointed that she was telling the truth and blah, blah, blah. Right or wrong, that's what they felt. But they decided not to make any moves until a court of law weighed in on it. So, of course, the first case that came in was Johnny Depp was suing the newspaper that basically ran Amber Heard's story and referred to Johnny Depp as an abuser and as a wife abuser and things like that. So Johnny Depp was sued in court for defamation. The court not only rejected and found against him, they also made the very disturbing statement. And Rob, you remember this statement. They said that the court found, after weeks of testimony and evidence and all that kind of stuff, a lot of stuff you and I have not seen, the court determined that the accusations against Johnny Depp were demonstrably true. Or what's the word they used? It was basically, they said, we find that all the accusations against Johnny Depp are substantially true. They're true. So that's what the court found. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know. But that's what the court found. So Warner Brothers, who was just waiting for the court to make a decision, once the court came to the same conclusion that Warner Brothers' investigation came to, they immediately pulled the trigger and released Johnny Depp. Now, ever since then, a lot of people who are supporters of Johnny Depp have been wanting Amber Heard to be fired and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of social media movement. But again, Warner Brothers stayed firmly behind her on all this kind of stuff. And now the producer of Aquaman was talking about this, and he was asked, was there ever, did you guys ever come close to letting Amber Heard go? And this is what he said. Peter Safran, this comes to us from the folks at Deadline. Peter Safran was asked whether the social media campaign by Johnny Depp fans for Amber Heard's removal from the DC sequel ever had any influence on the production and their casting decisions. He said this: "I don't think we are ever going to react to, honestly. Pure fan pressure. said Safran, whose James Gunn The Suicide Squad movie hits theaters and HBO Max on August 6th. You got to do what's best for the movie, continued Safran. We felt that if it's James Wan and Jason Momoa, it should be Amber Heard. That's really what it was. One is not unaware of what's going on in the Twitterverse, but that doesn't mean you have to react to it or take it as gospel or accede to their wishes, said Safran. You have to do what's right for the film, and that's really where we landed on it. And that comes to us again from the producer of Aquaman 2. Now, again, Rob, I don't generally like this he said, she said, TMZ nonsense BS, but I become interested when it directly is talking about the films we see and how they come to the screen and stuff like that. This is clearly one of those. To me, this is the logical conclusion of what this journey has been so far. And I say that, with all deference to people who are Johnny Depp fans and all that kind of stuff. I've been a big fan of a lot of Johnny Depp's work as well. But Warner Brothers did their own investigation. They came to a conclusion. Decided we're going to wait to see what the court of law says. The court of law says we believe the accusations against Johnny Depp were true. Johnny Depp then filed to have what's the word for it again? Why am I freezing on this? They wanted to appeal. Johnny Depp filed for an appeal, but he was denied his appeal because they found there was nothing wrong. The higher court said there was nothing wrong either in the process of law or anything else that substantiated an appeal. So he was rejected an appeal. Now, there is still a North American, there's still an American lawsuit that may or may not happen at this point, and maybe an American court comes to a different conclusion. If that happens, then there's going to be more to talk about. But Rob, to me, the producer's comments here is just the common sense, logical ending to this path that they've been on. Warner Brothers investigation found one thing. The court backed up what they found. They acted on that. An appeal was rejected. So why would they change what they're doing? They have backed and supported Amber Heard from the beginning. James Wan, Walter Hamada, Zack Snyder, the head people of Warner Brothers, they've all backed her. And I don't see why anybody would be surprised. And again, this could take a very, very interesting turn if the American court finds differently. If that happens, that opens up a whole new world of discussions. Absolutely. But for now, this seems like the logical conclusion. Rob, you read these statements from the producer and all this kind of stuff. And how do you land on this?
Well, first of all, this is a personal dispute between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I don't see what it has to do with Aquaman. And the idea that, we now live in a world where, like you said earlier, everybody wants to know everything. Would you want to be judged in your professional life by what's going on in your personal life if you had a personal dispute with somebody for whatever reason, that you might lose your job or your livelihood? And when I understand people want to be activists and they want to do the right thing and people are Johnny Depp fans and all of this, but this is a personal matter between them because they're celebrities. It gets played out in the public. What this has to do with Aquaman 2, I do not know. I really don't. And whatever's going to happen will be settled in the courts, the way that these disputes between formerly married people or married people have been for decades, and it's none of our business. And I would say that I know everybody wants to make it their business, but to me, I'm like, what does this have to do with Aquaman 2? I don't know.
And I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody else, but to the Johnny Depp supporters, I can see where they're coming from because on the one hand, like in this personal dispute between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard in this he said, she said battle that, again, everybody likes to pretend that they know what happened, but none of us were there. But their guy got dumped from Fantastic Beasts, which may have been a blessing in disguise. But their guy got dumped from Fantastic Beasts. Their guy got dumped from Pirates. Not that there was ever any proof that they were going to do another Pirates with Johnny Depp anyway. Because let's be honest, Johnny Depp on the set and doing Pirates has been problematic for Disney over the years. But still, from their point of view, their guy got dumped off of one franchise. Their guy got dumped off another franchise. But nothing happened to Amber Heard. So, and I'm not saying they're right to feel that way or wrong to feel that way. I'm just saying I can get why some people who choose to believe Johnny Depp over Amber Heard would feel that there's an imbalance there, that Johnny Depp got fired. Why didn't Amber Heard? And the only thing I would say is, well, because Warner Brothers did an investigation and that's what they found, and the court did an investigation and that's what they found. But still, I can see where they're coming from. And that's why I still think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in a North American court, because I'm interested in two things. If the North American court finds that there's liability with Amber Heard, does that change what Warner Brothers' working relationship with her is moving forward? Or if yet another court in America finds against Johnny Depp again, will that make the supporters of Johnny Depp back off and go, oh, I guess they were right all along? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's interesting.
No, I mean, look, I do too. All of those things are true. But, we're living through a time, we're in the Me Too era, the post-Me Too era. And any kind of impropriety like this is going to be met with a little bit more pushback and a little bit more scrutiny than it was in the past. Because normally these sordid details of people's personal lives are something that wouldn't necessarily be so dragged through the press. And I understand. I mean, look, is Amber Heard a saint? No. Is Johnny Depp a saint? No. And to me, that's probably true of a lot of us. And I just think that Amber Heard probably has a pretty good contract with Warner Brothers. If they're going to break the contract, I mean, even though Johnny Depp left Fantastic Beasts, he was asked to, he stepped down, he still got paid, and this becomes something that it's also an economic decision too. Even though people want to stand on ceremony, and then you have to replace Amber Heard, and who are you going to replace her with? How is that going to be for the film?
Yep. So again, I thought it was interesting comments from the producer, but the logical comments from the producer. I mean,
yes.
if your own investigation turns up one thing and a court of law backs it up, what are you going to do? Let's see what happened with the American case says and which way that goes. And I am curious if the American case goes against Amber, will it make people who have supported Amber question her? If it goes against Depp, will it finally? That'll be three. That'll be Warner Brothers investigation, the court in the UK, and the court in America. Will that make people go, oh, I guess maybe Johnny Depp is the one? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But really, Rob, we know humanity. Everybody picks a side, whether they're informed or not, and they dig in their heels, regardless whether it's Amber's side or Johnny's side. And no amount of logic, no amount of court findings, no amount of evidence is ever going to make anybody change their minds. That's just the world we live in. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Sam Sprill, who writes, "Greetings, John and Rob. With regards to Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit, it seems like Disney has pushed back, giving us a different side to this, stating that she has been paid $20 million and that discussions were had about the Premier Access deal with her contract. But if that was the case, why wouldn't Scarlett Johansson even bother with the lawsuit? Is it for more money or something else that we are not aware of? Thoughts?" All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Sam. And yeah, this has been, Rob, for the last 48 hours or 24 hours, really, because the story first dropped almost 24 hours ago exactly.
Yep.
This has been the talk of the industry for the last 24 hours. So just to highlight, yesterday we found out that Scarlett Johansson, who has been in 9 films for the MCU and has been around almost since the beginning, she is one of the OG Avengers. She was suing Disney for breach of agreement and breach of contract because by putting Black Widow on Disney Plus Premier Access, they violated their agreement and it cost her financially because a lot of her financial compensation was to be based on the box office, not the Premium Plus access, but the box office results. In the lawsuit, her lawyers asserted that they violated the agreement and they have refused, says Scarlett Johansson's lawyers, they have refused to come to the table and negotiate a solution to this, even though apparently Kevin Feige wanted them to. And Disney refused to do that, which left her with no choice but to sue. So there's that. Now, following that up, Disney made a response. And this comes to us from Deadline. Disney's response By the way, just to say this up front before I even read it, Disney's response is one of the most classless, dirty, underhanded, sniveling coward, look over there, don't look at what I'm doing, distraction comments I have ever read, and I'm disgusted by it. Anyway, let's go over and see what their response was. A Disney spokesperson says, there is no merit whatsoever to this filing, which is fine to say if that's your position. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me just put a pause on here for a second. What the fuck does your contract with Scarlett Johansson have to do with COVID?
Nothing.
What is it? What does this have to do with COVID? It's like saying, yeah, I told you I'd pay you $100 to mow my lawn, but 9/11 happened. What did that have to do with me mowing your lawn for something that happened however many years ago? You're just ignoring the horrific events of this terrible tragedy that happened to our world. What are you talking about? Anyway, let's keep going here, shall we? The callous disregard and for the horrific and prolonged global effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Disney has fully complied with Miss Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with Premier Access has significantly enhanced her ability. Listen to this. It didn't pay her more money. It says it significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date. On top of the $20 million she has received to date. You fucking cowardly assholes at Disney. That is one of the dirtiest things. They are trying to play on public sentiment by publicly outing what her salary was on it, as if to say, look, everybody, look how much money she made.
Yeah, she's a rich girl.
She's rich. We shouldn't be expected to actually honor our agreements. Look how much money she made, everybody. Boo! Boo, rich girl! Boo!
And this coming from Disney.
Rob,
oh, they sell a sandwich for how much at Disneyland?
Way too much. $17 for a piece of shit plate of awful spaghetti. Anyway. So, like when first of all, I fully expect them to come and say, hey, there's no merit to this case. We look forward to going to a court case. We look forward to going to trial to prove our case. Well, I would expect them to say that. That's fine. That's all within the realm of thing. But for them to go, it's COVID. What the hell does COVID have to do with your agreement? Oh, she made $20 million. What does that have to do with your agreement? What does that have to do with your agreement? Rob, I'm telling you, the last year or so, Disney, I am a big Disney fan, but Disney has made it more and more difficult for me to be a fan of them lately. And this move, this statement they put out is absolutely disgusting. Playing on the tragedy that our world has had with COVID and however many millions of people have died of this thing, and you try to put that in your public statement as some sort of way to sway public opinion. It had nothing to do with COVID, you self-sanctimonious sons of bitches. Like, it is absolutely disgusting, their response. Again, look, I'm not talking about the basic legal problem here. ScarJo feels that her contract means she deserved more money that she got ripped off of because of their move to Premium Plus. Disney feels that they didn't and they acted within the spirit of their contract. Okay, you're going to go to court. You're going to work this out, and that's fine. That's all totally fine, whatever. But this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. And it's no wonder, Rob, that we're hearing that Kevin Feige is pissed off at them for this situation. It's no wonder we're now hearing that Emma Stone is considering launching her own lawsuit in a situation like this. Now, I also want to go on and point out that if, I think I misplaced it. No. I think I found, or maybe I missed it. No, I got it here. So in response to them, you know what? No, I lost it. Rob, I don't know if you had it. In response to Disney's statement, Scarlett Johansson's representation came out and made their own statement as well, following up what Disney made public. Rob, do you have, I know you were talking to me about that before the show. Do you still have it there with you?
Yeah, I've got Brian Lord's the CAA statement.
Yeah, yeah.
Brian
What's their statement on that?
Oh, it's great. So Brian Lord is Scarlett Johansson's agent, and he runs CAA. He writes, I want to address the Walt Disney Company's statement that was issued in response to the lawsuit filed against them yesterday by our client, Scarlett Johansson. They have shamelessly and falsely accused Ms. Johansson of being insensitive to the global COVID pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone they and I know she isn't. Scarlett has been a Disney partner on 9 movies, which have earned Disney and its shareholders billions. The company included her salary in their press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and businesswoman. Keep in mind, she's also a producer on Black Widow, as if that were something she should be ashamed of. Scarlett is extremely proud of the work that she and all of the other actors, writers, directors, producers, and the Marvel creative team have been a part of for well over a decade. This suit was filed as a result of Disney's decision to knowingly violate Scarlett's contract. They have very deliberately moved the revenue stream and profits to the Disney Plus side of the company, leaving artistic and financial partners out of their new equation. That's it. Pure and simple. Disney's direct attack on her character and all else they implied is beneath the company that many of us in the creative community have worked with successfully for decades. Now, that is the most that they have very deliberately moved the revenue stream and profits to the Disney Plus side of the company. That, John, is the crux of all of this, because that is the future of all of these companies. They make a lot more money on the Disney streaming side of things. They have a lot more stability when they're making moves. And that's what this is all about. The very future of movie making and television making is being played out right here. And this is not the first of these suits, and it certainly won't be the last.
Yeah. Now, I just should respond to something here. Somebody in the live chat I think it's Black Sabbath 1993 wrote into the live chat and says, you know, John, COVID was the cause of the move to Disney Plus, so it's related. It's not related. What that is related to was Disney's desire to move Black Widow to Disney Plus. It is not related at all to the agreement and contract between Disney and Scarlett Johansson,
which was signed in 2017.
Signed in 2017. So it is related to Disney's desire to move it. So, I mean, I never liked their decision to move it, but they did, and that's fine. But at that point, if you want to make that move, you now have to go and address the pre-existing agreements that you have with your talent and address it. And they simply didn't. And COVID had nothing to do with the agreement between Scarlett Johansson here. Now, look, I'm not the world's biggest Scarlett Johansson fan. I mean, I am a fan of Scarlett Johansson, don't get me wrong. But it's not like she's Jennifer Garner to me, and it's not like she's Ryan Reynolds to me. But this is black and white. Now, I used to work in law, and Rob, for a good period of time that I worked in law, I specifically had to work in litigation regarding violations of contracts. And this is not difficult. Now, Disney's going to try to throw up a lot of smoke screens. They're going to try to change public opinion by these bullshit scumbag tactics of, oh, let's throw out how much we paid her, and let's bring up COVID, and let's do all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day, though, 95% of these litigation cases, they never actually go to trial. Like the vast majority of time, these personal litigation things and contractual litigation things, they are usually settled out of court long before they go to trial. And I fully expect that's what's going to happen here. Disney is going to try to save face completely the wrong way, because they're just making themselves look worse here right now. But it's going to go in front of a mediator. The mediator is going to say, wait a minute, these agreements and assurances were made, Disney. You got to live up to it. And then they'll make an offer to ScarJo and her lawyers, and at some point they'll come to a number that they accept. And this is going to be settled out of court. I am just, again, Rob, as a fan of Disney, as a fan of what not just Kevin Feige has done with Marvel, but a fan of their universe and worlds of movies that they do over at Disney, I am exceedingly frustrated to see what they have become ever since Big Papa Iger handed the wheel over and handed the throne over to somebody else. I had all the belief in the world that Bob Chapek was going to be able to manage this. Bob Chapek has turned out he's the guy who's going to run Disney into the ground. if he continues on burning bridges, creating dissent within his own company, trying to strong arm people and go, we're Disney, Scarlett Johansson, you're just an actress. We're Disney. So what are you going to do? Oh, you're going to sue us? Okay, you know what? We're going to tell the public what you made. We're going to besmirch your character. We're going to call you sad. And we're going to call you this. And it's like, you know what? This never would have happened, Rob, under Iger. Iger never would have let it come to this point. No. And it's just, it's so frustrating to see. By the way, Mark Smith sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Mark. Anyway, Rob, your commentary on this whole situation.
Well, first of all, what she makes is entirely irrelevant to this situation. It's absolutely irrelevant. So put that out of your mind. But here's another thing. What about Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt? Did they, when they made contracts to make Jungle Cruise, was it in their contracts that they were going to get a theatrical release? Do they have box office bumps? Just like Emma Stone in Cruella? I mean, this idea that, I'm sorry, but yeah, COVID is something that we didn't expect, they didn't expect, but that is irrelevant because Disney Plus or Disney made a decision that's best for them. And by not including their partners, meaning the people they made the movies with, that's on them. They should have been like, you know what? Clearly, it doesn't matter what scenario happens. It doesn't. And by the way, even if you like or don't like the movies, it's still irrelevant because in the case of Marvel movies, you have 23 movies with an average box office of $1 billion. So there is an expectation that you can expect that ballpark figure. Now, they've reduced Black Widow's theatrical window now to only 33 days. It was even with when she signed those contracts, the expectation was movies are in theaters for 90 to 120 days. Well, now it's down to 45 days. They reduced that theatrical window to 33 days. So there's a lot going on here. The contract that she signed 4 years ago, the universe has changed, and everyone going forward, there'll be different contracts. Get what you negotiate. That's what Disney is not living up to the contract. And Cruella and Jungle Book, that could be the same situation. And if you're Dwayne Johnson, you're like, I'm used to making this much at the box office. If you look, I make multiple films for multiple companies, and this is what they do. And this movie theatrically underperformed as far as I'm concerned, hurting my brand. You bet your ass I'm going to sue you. I want the money that's due me, and this is not my fault. And they open themselves up to, I think, a world of hurt. And also by outing what she got paid, what does that say to all the other actors?
Yeah.
For other Disney projects or Marvel projects? Does that make Kevin Feige's life more difficult? Because what they make is irrelevant. What somebody makes shouldn't have any bearing on what other people make, but you think it's not going to now? Of course it is.
And by the way, I guarantee you, we talked a little bit earlier about phone calls that are absolutely happening right now. I'll tell you another phone call that is absolutely happening right now. Bob Chapek is on the phone with Sony today. And Bob Chapek is saying, what can I do to get you to release that Spider-Man No Way Home trailer today? I need a distraction. I need people to look at something else. They're looking at all this awful shit I'm doing. I need to jingle the keys in front of, look over here, Spider-Man trailer. And if that doesn't happen, maybe a Hawkeye trailer drops today. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, Bob Chapek is trying to come up with some kind. I would not be surprised at all, Rob, if later today some kind of massive trailer gets dropped. I would not doubt it if some kind of massive trailer did not drop today. I think that's what we're going to see happen. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this whole situation here with Scarlett Johansson, Disney, Kevin Feige, the whole bit? This is going to get nastier before it gets better. And I only said that half jokingly, Rob. I really am half expecting to see some kind of major trailer drop today to try to distract everybody from all this too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this whole situation? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with all that down and out of the way, let's move on over and start taking your live comments and questions that you guys sent in. And again, how do you send in a live comment or question? that gets read either here on the show or in an upcoming companion video. It's simple. Just go and click on the tip link that's down in the description below, or you could enter that in manually at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show, of course, if it's appropriate for the show. But of course, most importantly, you guys will be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us here at the show, thank you guys so much for that support. Okay, today's going to be a bit of a short show, guys, unfortunately, because I have meetings that I need to go to a little bit later. So today's show is going to be cut a little bit short. I will be doing a big companion video this weekend, so keep your eyes open for that. But we do have a little bit of time here to get through a few questions here. So let's go on over and start taking those now. First up here, we've got one from Ryan G, who writes, "Hey, John, I can't wait for that live-action Pokemon coming to Netflix. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I can't believe you, John, you never saw the show. Get right on that ASAP. It's on Netflix, the first season and the latest season. No, thank you. I say that with all gratitude. No, thank you. It doesn't appeal to me. I'm not interested in that at all. But I am excited for people who are fans, because like we said this the other day, if I'm an executive at Netflix, understanding the popularity of the Pokemon IP, whether or not it's for me, is irrelevant. I would automatically greenlight this as long as they're able to come up with a way to do a live action Pokemon within reasonable budget constraints. If you can find a financially reasonable way to do it, to me, it's a no-brainer. You do this show. You absolutely do it. So we'll see how that goes, Ryan. All right, next up, Chloe Fanning writes, "Take the movie The Core, add Fast 10. Now imagine the villains of Fast 10 movie driving vehicles similar to the one in The Core, with Dom and the family giving chase through the earth, coming up to different cities around the globe." Well, that's called Godzilla versus Kong, just so you know. That's called Godzilla versus Kong. Anyway, Fast 10 Underground. Rob, I mean, it's a side note here, Chloe, but Rob, do you remember The Core? Did you ever watch The Core?
Dude, I love The Core. It's silly, but I liked it.
I got a little, look, it's a bad movie, but I got a kick out of it too. Driving this vehicle to the center of the earth, and one by one, the train cars are getting destroyed. It's actually kind of funny. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's dumb. It's totally dumb, but it's actually kind of fun. So if you guys get a chance to see The Core, go watch The Core. All right. Thanks for that, Chloe. Next up, Ryan G writes, "John, you almost forgot Dear Evan Hansen to reach $100 million. Maybe not. On what percent do you think it could reach it? And also don't say zero." Well, I'm going to say zero. I say at least 25%. I think that is supremely optimistic, Ryan. Look, so for those of you who don't know, Rob and I talked the other day, and Scott Mantz was here with us as well. And we ranked down all the movies coming out between now and the end of 2021 that at least have some kind of potential to reach that $100 million opening weekend mark. And we went through all these, and not many really seriously have that potential, but we thought the ones that, now, one of the films I did not include on that list is a movie that I think looks very good, with Dear Evan Hansen. Rob, you and I talked about that trailer. I think it looks great. I can't wait to watch this movie. But there is no chance, to quote the song from Vince McMahon, no chance in hell that Dear Evan Hansen is going to make $100 million opening weekend, where Fast 9 didn't and Black Widow didn't. And there's just no chance in hell it makes $100 million. And I'm very, very excited about it. I can't wait to watch it, but no chance. Rob, do you think we made a mistake not putting that on the list?
No. No, I don't. I mean, look, it looks like a wonderful movie, but you have to think about what makes a blockbuster film. And a blockbuster movie is a 4-quadrant film. It's a film that you and I as adults want to see. It's a movie that kids want to see. It's a movie that teens want to see. I mean, it's a movie that everybody wants to see. And Dear Evan Hansen is going to be like, look, I love movies like Perks of Being a Wallflower. I really do.
So good.
And
so good.
So good. Really love that movie. I mean, I bought that movie on Blu-ray, and the more I watch it probably more than I should admit, but I really like that film a lot. It's not a movie that was ever going to gross $100 million. Now, Dear Evan Hansen looks like it has a little bit more emotional wallop in a way, but it's not a $100 million movie by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next up, we've got BK Dan who writes, John, on this day in entertainment history, way back, this was sent in yesterday, way back in 1928, test footage of first created for Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie with Mickey Mouse just wanted to promote entertainment, history, and education. I did not know that, BK Dan. I really didn't. And by the way, that little Rob, that Steamboat Willie thing, they still play in front of a lot of Disney stuff. The old animation with Mickey Mouse and seeing him doing that whistle kind of thing. It's really there. I did not know that this day in history, that's when it came. Thank you for that little bit of a history lesson, BK Dan. Appreciate that, man. All right, next up, we got Brandon who writes, with the Delta variant spreading, vaccine mandates are being issued. States have issued vaccine mandates for state workers. Netflix mandated it for people on their sets. Do you think theaters will mandate vaccines for customers and staff at some point? It's a very, very good question, but no. I don't see movie theaters mandating it. I am all for the government mandating it for government workers. I am all for any company that wants to mandate it. And look, if any company says, look, you are a threat to the safety and well-being of us and our employees if you are not vaccinated, and so you cannot come in and work here unless you're vaccinated. I have all the respect in the world if that company has that mandate for themselves. But I don't think what you can see is retailers, and in many ways, Rob, that's kind of what a movie theater is in some ways is a retailer, saying, we are going to, for you to be our customer, we're going to require you to be vaccinated. I don't see that happening. Would I be against it? No, I wouldn't be against it, but I can't see them doing it. I don't know. I just don't think that's listen, Rob, when the pandemic was first coming out, I mean, the movie theaters even struggled with whether or not they should mandate people just wearing masks. The simple, non-invasive, simple little thing of wearing a mask. And they couldn't really, they had a very difficult time even coming to that decision. Getting people requiring vaccination, I don't know. I've gone back and forth on this, Rob, because I remember we were talking about the Miami Heat at one point, and they were considering if people can show their vaccination card, they can come in and come see a game. And if not, you can't come in. And I remember thinking at the time that was a pretty good idea. I've kind of gone back and forth on that. Look, obviously, I think everybody should get vaccinated, period. End of sentence. I do believe that you are a threat to our society, our culture, our economy, the health and well-being of people who are around here. I believe you really should. Do I believe we should mandate? I'm not going to say whether that's a good or a bad idea. I'll just say I am uncomfortable with that. And so Rob, again, it just comes down to this. Theaters had a hard enough time deciding whether they should mandate masks. So I just don't think you're going to see them mandate vaccinations. What do you think?
Well, I mean, mandating vaccinations, forcing people to have something injected into their bodies is problematic. And I can understand, you know, if you're gonna go out in public and you're going to be interacting with people, especially with this Delta variant being as infectious as it is, there's going to be companies. There are companies that can make their own decisions, but ultimately, from a governmental standpoint, can the government mandate you get a vaccination? I think that's very problematic. However, private companies can do whatever the hell they want. You know, and if you're expected to go into work and interact with other workers, you have to do everything you can to not put your fellow workers at risk. I mean, this is just, you know, it's like, look, if you have the common cold, would you go into work and subject all of your fellow? Maybe some people do, but if you have the flu, you stay at home. So in this case, where we still have a raging global pandemic, that if you look at places like Missouri, where it's really taking hold again because there's a lot of unvaccinated people. I mean, look, it's kind of common sense. Yeah. So, and again, we don't have a lot of that anymore, but
neither Robert or I are doctors. Yeah, we're not medical professions. We're just talking about how we think it's going to affect or maybe impact the health of the movie theater industry, which is what we are here to talk about. So, yeah, I just can't see them doing it, Brandon. I really can't. All right, next up, Harvey Dude 93 writes, "What's good, John? I know you said you read a thread online about people debating whether the Detective Pikachu movie was a video game movie or not because of the card game, but they are incorrect. The video game did come first, so it is a video game movie. Yeah, I like I said, I have no dog in that hunt. I really don't care about Pokemon in any way, shape, or form. But yes, I've heard disputes about whether or not Detective Pikachu should be considered a video game movie because some people say it's really more prominently known as a card game. Some people argue that because there is a video game, it's a video game movie. Whatever you Pokemon fans says is the answer, I accept. Because I have no dog in that hunt, like whatsoever. By the way, Harvey Dude just threw in a super chat badge as well as getting his question answered here. So thanks for that, Harvey. Yeah, so whatever you Pokemon fans say it is, if you guys say it's a video game movie, that the video game came first, I believe you. I totally believe you. I have no vested interest in this one, and I certainly have no knowledge on this one whatsoever. At all. And then Harvey Dude sends in another super chat, like a $20 super chat badge with the #1 fan thing on there. Thank you so much, Harvey. Appreciate that, man. Very much. That's really kind of you. All right. Let's move on. We got time for a couple more here. Harvey Dude also writes, "What's good, John and Rob? Writing this comment to show some love and appreciation for Rob. I may not know you personally, but I can tell that you're a great guy." He's not that great. I'm just going to tell you right now. He's not that great.
Thanks a lot, man.
You're a great guy, and I look forward to every video you're in, as well as your solo companion videos. And listen, Rob, I love it. For those of you who don't know, we quite often don't have enough time to get around to all the live comments and questions that get sent in, and we will do companion videos. I'm very busy. Sometimes I don't have time to do it. Like every once in a while, I don't have time to do a companion video. Thank God Robert Meyer Burnett is here, because Robert Meyer Burnett has been able to, whenever we've needed him to step in and do a companion video for us, so we all don't get really far behind on that. And Rob, it's always great when you do that for us. And you've gotten really good at them, by the way. You've gotten really good.
Thank you. I love doing the one on Loki, because I didn't get to do any kind of a Loki spoiler conversation, and I don't really do that on my own channel. So it was a real privilege. I love doing the companion videos for this audience. Everyone asks really good questions. They're all different. It's very fast and furious. It's a lot of fun.
And you do a great job with them. Anyway, thanks for sending that in, Harvey Dude, and I'm sure Rob appreciates that as well. All right. And yes, Rob really is that great of a guy. I was just facetious. Okay. Joel writes, "Hey, John, I was wondering if you think Warner Brothers will bring James Gunn back for another Suicide Squad movie if this movie is successful." Here's the thing, Rob. I don't know what you think about this. The question is not whether or not Warner Brothers will bring him back. I guarantee you they have given him a blank check. I guarantee you when they got in line with every other studio trying to lure James Gunn over, I guarantee you they gave him an open book. Like, whatever you want to do, James. The question is not whether Warner Brothers will bring him back. The question is, will James Gunn come back? Because we know he's going to go do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. What we don't know is what's going to happen after that. Because, look, Rob, it becomes more complicated because prior to Disney prematurely firing James Gunn, Kevin Feige had brought James Gunn into the inner circle. Kevin Feige had kind of appointed James Gunn as the guy who's going to help be the architect for the galactic level stuff for Marvel. So he was really kind of grooming him as not necessarily a right-hand guy, but certainly a senior lieutenant in everything that was happening there. So now that he's back in the fold, it really all depends on how involved does he want to be there. Maybe Kevin Feige is getting so sick of the place, he's going to tell James, listen, if you've got a free ride over at Warner Brothers, you go to that. I mean, I don't know. But Joel, the question is not, will Warner Brothers bring him back? Of course, they're dying to have him back. The question is, what does James Gunn want to do? And that's what we're going to have to wait and see. Rob, what's your take on this?
Well, I agree. I mean, one of the things, if Suicide Squad does well, what James Gunn has bought himself at Warner Brothers is carte blanche to come in and do something he might want to do. And if you look at someone like Christopher Nolan, you do one thing for them, and then maybe James Gunn's Inception will happen at Warner Brothers. Some crazy idea that he's always wanted to see realized. And to have that kind of power is very, very rare in Hollywood. Very few people get it. And James Gunn, he doesn't have a bad track record now that he's working on these big projects. I mean, Guardians 1 and 2, he's become one of the most successful franchise film directors in history. I'm just assuming that the Suicide Squad will end up at least equaling, if not surpassing. I mean, obviously, and in COVID, it's going to be tough because Suicide Squad made some money, the first one. but I think that
didn't it
everyone
make
likes
like
this movie.
almost 800 million or something? At
Yeah.
least 700. I can't remember if
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
800
and
or not, but yeah.
and I think James, he's well liked. He does good work, and I think one of the things that James Gunn, and I think this is sort of underestimated, is he puts together ensemble casts of people that a studio wouldn't necessarily like.
Yes, he
Do you
does.
really want to put Nathan Fillion and like? I mean, the cast of you've got Margot Robbie, and you've got Idris Elba. Okay, but look at all these other people. Can you imagine? I would love to see what James Gunn walks in and goes, okay, here's my cast list for Suicide Squad. I'm sure the studio executive is like, who are these people? Like, I don't know half these people. And that's what's so interesting is that's what makes his movies so much fun. And again, it's not classical studio thinking. And that's why Kevin Feige got James and scored big with Guardians, because James is the kind of guy thinking, he's like, I don't care who's on your casting lists. I care about who I want to bring on, like Rooker. Come on.
And it's fun seeing him in that. It really, really is. All right, let's do one more and then we'll call it a day here, guys. Joel writes in, hey, John, I could not be more excited for the new Dune adaptation. I started the first book and watched the movie. Eventually, I'll get to the 2 miniseries. Have you seen any of the miniseries or the film from the 80s? And if so, what are your thoughts? Well, yeah, we've talked about that a lot recently here, Joel, that, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Look, the first movie, it has its place in film history. Let's just say that. The miniseries is actually not that bad. I wasn't a big fan of the second miniseries they did, Rob, but that first one with William Hurt, I actually kind of liked it. I mean, it still didn't live up to the potential of the story, though. And that's why I'm super excited to see what Denis Villeneuve, one of the best directors working today, to see what he's going to go on about that. So, Rob, what would your words of advice be to Joel and what his expectations should be?
Look, I mean, I'm a huge fan of this property. I love the book. And I mean, I don't think I've seen a more handsome look. Everything in terms of an adaptation of a favorite science fiction literary property, I can't imagine this movie getting a better treatment than it got. It's every dream you could possibly have come true. So my expectations are through the roof. And I put aside anything you know about previous adaptations. Hell, I'd say go in cold and allow this to wash over you. If it's as good as I expect it to be, it's going to be.
All right, I said that was the last one, but so let's get it done. Where did we go here again? The Sock writes, one of two. This week is the first week that I've started working out to get my weight from 276 down to 220. Excellent stuff, dude. The most important part is just getting off your ass to do it, whether it's writing a book, health goals, a career aspiration, some kind of creative, whatever. The main thing, the hardest part is getting off your ass and just getting started. So good on you for doing that. Marine eligibility requirement is 220. There you go. So it's good aspirations too. I didn't think I could do this because I'm 23 and I thought it's too late to change course and do anything with my life.
What?
But I think about how many things you've done in the 13 years that I've watched, and the fact that Anne now has her 4th master's degree inspired me. I expect this to take about 8 months to a year, but I'll be glad to have you with me in my ear. Well, listen, first of all, Sock, whatever age you're at, you feel like you're older. But honestly, we all, like I said, the hardest thing to do in trying to accomplish anything is to just get off our asses and start. That's 90% of the battle.
Yep.
But a lot of us, Rob, the reason so few of us do that and get off our ass and start doing something is we make excuses. And one of the excuses we make is, well, now I'm too old for it. And people say that regardless of what their age is. But I want to remind everybody that I didn't go back to school until I was in my 30s. I met Anne in my 30s. I started the movie blog. That was, for those of you who don't know, the movie blog was the first thing that I did in getting involved in online stuff, my own little blog. I didn't start the movie blog until I was in my 30s. Most of what defines my life today really just didn't start till I was in my 30s, right? So you being 23, obviously guys like me and Rob are going to chuckle when you say 23 and that you're too old. Rob just made, or at least he's been working on it for years, but Tango Shalom, a film that's getting all these accolades in film festivals around the world and is getting a theatrical release. And, it's just, yeah, I understand that feeling though, because I felt it myself at times. But it doesn't matter if in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. It is never too late to start something, like at all. So by all means, and to everybody else who's listening, let the sock be an inspiration to you on that. And hopefully this, don't ever think that it's too late for you to start something that you really want to try to do. Unless you're in your 40s or 50s and you think, I think I want to become an Olympic athlete. Well, maybe the window's closed on that one. Maybe look for another dream. But I mean, yeah, it's absolutely, Rob, what would you say to the sock?
Okay. I heard the best advice I've ever heard in my life. There was an advice columnist named Dear Abby, Abigail Van Buren. And she had a woman write in, and I'm paraphrasing. The woman said, listen, I'm 42 years old and I've always wanted to be a doctor. But if I went to medical school and read through all my residency, I wouldn't be a doctor until I was 50. And Dear Abby's advice was, you're going to be 50 anyway.
I love that.
And I mean,
That's
to
great.
me, that has been the defining advice of my life. There is no, Ridley Scott is 83 years old. He has The Last Duel and House of Gucci coming out this year. Clint Eastwood's making movies in his 90s. At 23, I'm not, and by the way, losing weight is a great goal. It's hard. You got to stick with it. But like anything, you'd be surprised. You start something on one day and then you just stick to it the next day and the next day and the next day. Chart your progress. It's not easy. Some days you're going to be like, F this, I don't know. But if you stick with it, eventually, wow, 6 months will have gone by and who knows how much closer to your weight goal you'll be. And you will have done the work and you'll be like, wow, I did it. But I can tell you this, if you don't do it, you'll never reach your goal.
Yep. The great Wayne Gretzky, of course, said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Of course, requoted by Michael Scott. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for now. Like I said, we need to cut today's show a little bit short. I have some meetings I have to attend to, but don't worry. There are still more questions to come. We're going to do a companion video this weekend, probably tomorrow. Keep your eyes open for it, and we will get all caught up. So thank you to everybody for being here. A special thank you to all you guys who sent in the live comments and questions. Number one, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so much for that support. Also, big thanks to Robert, Meyer, Burnett. Rob, thanks again for being here, dude. Great job as always this week. Where can people follow you and your stuff online?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett, which I've noticed, by the way, more people have been following me, so thank you for that. Find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, and find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work.
All right, guys, that will do it for us. Thanks so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.